Welcome to an introduction video of the Links Self-Assessment and Asset Map tools presented by the Virginia Adult Learning Resource Center. This video will give you an overview of these tools which can help guide your regional professional development plans. Please take a moment and make sure you have these tools in hand as you view the video. The tools can be found on the links below. The Links Professional Development Center created the new State Leadership Self-Assessment and Asset Map tools. To help states develop and improve their professional development programs and to gauge priorities and implementation readiness. Although these tools were created for state leadership, they can be very useful for regional leadership too. Steps of a strategic plan. Let's quickly discuss the role strategic planning plays in these Links Self-Assessment Asset Planning tools. It is a vital one. The steps are familiar to those who have participated on strategic planning teams before. They are: prepare the team and determine where you are. Conduct an internal and external analysis, which you can find on the site. Clarify the mission and vision statements. Do they describe what you do? Do they need changing? Agree on top priorities and 2 or 3 goals. Decide if they are long-term or short-term goals. Identify the steps you should take to achieve your goals. Put the plan together, distribute tasks, and assign actions. Decide on who will be in charge of tasks. Hold everyone accountable. Let me repeat, hold everyone accountable. Update information and communicate regularly with the team. The Links Professional Development Center developed a state leadership self-assessment tool that will help states gauge their priorities and implementation readiness for meeting the state leadership activity requirements in Section 223 of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. These 2 tools are sets of checklists that will help states identify the resources, partnerships, and activities they are currently engaging in or need to strengthen to be in compliance with WIOA Section 223. These tools inform one another and can help states develop a professional development plan. VALRIC and the state office are using these tools to examine our statewide professional development program, and regional leaders can adapt these tools to develop regional PD plans. Before we go into the actual tools, we need to quickly review the regulations that lead to the development of this process. 3 items in particular in the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Section 223, drive this strategic planning process. First, WIOA requires the establishment or operation of high-quality professional development programs to improve the instruction. Secondly, it requires the provision of technical assistance to eligible providers of adult education and literacy activities. And thirdly, it requires the monitoring and evaluation of the quality of and the improvement in adult education and literacy activities, as well as the dissemination of information about models and proven or promising practices within the state. The Links tools can help states or the regions to examine PD programs, identify the presence and extent of PD components, assess potential gaps, determine next steps and priorities, and progress towards identified goals. The Links tools can also help regional teams to develop plans to address identified gaps, identify resources and actions that need to be taken to reach the goal of establishing high-quality professional development programs. The Links Self-Assessment tool was informed by a review of existing literature on state PD programs and systems, knowledge gleaned from the 2014-2015 individual state annual report narratives, and interviews with state leaders from 9 diverse states on existing PD programs. States were selected to represent each region in a variety of governance systems: demographics, urban, rural, learner population, geographic size, numbers and types of student enrollment, number and status, full-time, part-time, volunteer, of teachers. The literature review looked at the available studies for adult education into relevant research from K through 12 and other fields to supplement the limited research in the adult education field. Additionally, samples of PD survey questions and worksheets from states, associations, and national work groups were gathered during the review. The key findings of the research identifies foundational components that provide the structural supports for effective PD systems and key features of high-quality PD that should guide the design and implementation of PD activities. States need to address both the PD components and features as they are establishing or operating a PD program. The elements that were identified through the literature review are reflected in the individual state annual report narratives and in the analysis of the 9 state interviews. This is encouraging as states can build on what they have in place to strengthen their PD programs. The self-assessment tool provides states an opportunity to identify what is in place and to what degree, and to identify gaps and determine priorities for the next steps within the state context. The purpose of this tool is intended to support states in tracking their progress toward meeting their state leadership activity requirements set forth in WIOA Section 223. Regions could adapt this tool to track their progress on regional PD goals too. There are 2 parts. Part 1. State Leadership Activities. This is a checklist focused on specific state leadership activity requirements set forth in WIOA Section 223. Part 2. Quality of Professional Development. This checklist ensures that the PD program aligns with current research and best practices in PD and adult education. Part 1 of the self-assessment tool focuses on required WIOA leadership activities. Regions could use this section to work with key partners such as community colleges, local nonprofits, and WIOA partners. Part 2 of the self-assessment tool focuses on high-quality professional development. Individuals that will help ensure that there are policies and guidelines to support the PD program should be identified. These include regional program managers, regional program specialists, local program managers, lead instructors, data manager, outreach personnel, and assessment personnel. Please keep in mind that each region will vary with who their regional teams and partners are. This asset map is intended to help state teams or regional teams organize and plan how they will implement and document items and descriptors identified in the state leadership self-assessment. The 2 tools are intended to inform one another. The self-assessment will yield information to assist regional teams in identifying where gaps exist in terms of items or descriptors they are assessing. Using this information, teams will create a goal to guide work on filling in an identified gap. The asset map provides a process for teams to think through existing and needed resources and partnerships, as well as key milestones and actions toward achieving the goal. Once implementation and documentation is achieved, regional teams can update the self-assessment tool to track progress. Use the asset map template for each item you would like to explore further based on your completion of the self-assessment. Select an item or descriptor from the self-assessment and create a goal that describes what full implementation of that item would look like. The tool is designed to focus on one goal at a time. There are 3 parts to the asset map tool. Use Part 1, Resource Identification, to analyze your assets and needs for resources in the adult education system and with your partner agencies. This baseline information will help guide Parts 2 and 3. Use Part 2, Milestones, to lay out the key steps that need to occur to reach the goal. And then use Part 3, Action Plan, to map out the actions that need to be taken in order to reach each identified milestone. Going forward, continuous program improvement is an ongoing process that is developed over time and revisited often. After creating your initial goals and plans, you will be asked to revisit the plan regularly to determine if goals and objectives are being met and adjust them accordingly to your most recent data. This means deciding on dates, whether weekly, monthly, or bi-monthly. We advise you not to wait until the end of the fiscal year when it is too late to make adjustments that matter. Decide on the team that will study the data. 2 or 3 individuals is usually enough, but you might want to bring in an expert to help you devise a new strategy for achieving a particularly thorny goal. Consult with the DOE or the Resource Center to make sure you are on the right track. The following year, we suggest that you begin the process of self-assessment and asset mapping again. Start as soon as you have the previous year's data available. We encourage you to make this collaborative planning process an automatic part of the program governance. Additional resources can be found under the Program Leadership section of the VALRIC website. Please go to www.valric.org for more information. Thank you.